Hi there, everybody. This is Scott down in the lounge, literary, and I'm here to introduce the next book that I'm planning on reading. This one is by the author Virginia Woolf, and the title of this is Mrs. Dalloway. I like to give just a little bit of information about the authors as I introduce the books that they read, but I don't like to go into too much detail, especially if it's of a negative sort or might reflect badly on them in any way. I leave it to you to do any further digging to find out more about the authors if you're so interested. And I encourage you to do that because the people who write these books are extremely interesting, brilliant, and often highly accomplished in many areas of expertise, not only writing. But they're also often troubled and have their dark sides, and I choose not to focus on those. Adeline Virginia Stephen was born in London, England in 1882. In 1912, she married Leonard Woolf and was known thereafter as Virginia Woolf. She died in March of 1941 in East Sussex, England, at the age of 59. Quoting from Wikipedia, Woolf is considered to be one of the most important 20th century novelists. She's considered a modernist, and she was one of the pioneers of using a form of narrative called stream of consciousness, alongside such contemporaries as Marcel Proust, Dorothy Richardson, and James Joyce. The novel that we're going to be starting in the next episode, Mrs. Dalloway, is a prime example of this stream of consciousness narrative device. Again, quoting Wikipedia, stream of consciousness is a narrative mode or method that attempts to depict the multitudinous thoughts and feelings which pass through the mind of a narrator. It is usually in the form of an interior monologue, which is disjointed or has irregular punctuation. Novels written using stream of consciousness can be challenging to read and to listen to. I've already read Mrs. Dalloway myself in preparation for doing this recording, and I'll be honest with you, at times it's not so easy to follow and understand exactly what's going on. It might help you to pause and back up and re-listen to certain parts once or twice to kind of get a better feel or understanding of what's going on. I know that's easier said than done, particularly when you're listening to a podcast of somebody reading to you. But my advice is to just listen and not worry too much about the details. Just let the language kind of wash over you and experience it in general instead of worrying about every little detail and aspect of everything that's going on in the plot. I think if you're able to do that, you'll be able to enjoy a novel like this a lot more. Also, as this is a rather short novel, if you have the time, you might want to go back and re-listen to certain parts of it, or maybe the entire thing. I certainly think that that could be very worthwhile for somebody who's interested in this type of novel and writing style. Just as an aside, I'm currently reading the first volume of Marcel Proust's magnum opus, In Search of Lost Time, which is also written in the stream of consciousness style. So I'm realizing that with practice, this is becoming easier and easier for me to not only read, but understand and appreciate. And I think that if you just give it a little time and put in a little bit of the effort to get the most out of it as possible, that you will. According to the Greatest Books website, which is my primary source of information with regards to which authors I'm going to read and which of their works I'm going to read, Virginia Woolf is considered the number 5 greatest author of all time. The reason for that is that she has 3 books in the top 100 greatest books of all time, and 4 in the top 200, and 5 in the top 300 greatest books of all time. My plan is to read all 5 of those over the years, and I'm starting, of course, with Mrs. Dalloway, which is chronologically the first of those 5 novels that was written. Mrs. Dalloway was published in 1925, and according to the Greatest Books website, it is considered the 32nd greatest book of all time. It currently pops up on 60 different greatest book lists, and so it's certainly earned that honor of being considered one of the greatest books of all time. Like I said, I've already read it. I think it's an amazing, wonderful novel, and it's not very long. It's only about 175 pages, depending on the publisher you are reading, and I'm planning on this one taking about 18 episodes to get through. So, without any further time being lost, let's get started with Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf.